portion of the following program contains sports betting analysis. Fight IQ provides analysis and personal insights for entertainment purposes only. There are no guarantees inside the octagon. Please gamble responsibly. All wagers involve risk. Viewers are encouraged to bet within their means. Fight IQ and the ETB network are not responsible for any financial losses. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. History. It isn't just made in books. Sometimes it's written in blood, sweat, and steel. For the first time ever, the ultimate proving ground meets the ultimate symbol of democracy. 7 historic matchups, 7 chances for legendary status. And for the bettors looking to cash in on history, your numbers are locked. Who will conquer the lawn? Who will defy the odds? The wait is over. The preview starts now. Welcome to the Empty the Bench Network's UFC Freedom 250 pre-show, previewing and breaking down every bit of the action that will go down live on the South Lawn of the White House in our nation's capital of Washington, D.C. And now, here are your hosts, the fighting experts of ETB, Tom Albano and Zain Bando.
Well, Zain, I can't believe we're together again. If only for one night or two or whatever it is. I'd like to welcome everybody to the ETV Network, UFC Freedom 250 pre-show. It's finally here. Then it was 11 months ago, last July 4th actually, where President Trump started to give teases about what was going to happen next year, or the current 2026, for the 250th birthday of America. And one thing that he teased was the potential for a UFC card at the White House. People thought it was crazy talk. And then the rumors and the one spiel turned into negotiations. Then it turned into, okay, this is actually happening. Then it turned into the whole setup. And now we are one day away, one sleep away from this historic card. You know, you could talk about, oh, it's only 7 fights, or you could talk about, oh, the quality of the card, the fighters that are on there, some fighters, you know, plenty of fighters that are not American competing on this card. But for the sake of what we are about to witness and the circumstances of what we are about to witness, we're about to witness history in the making.
Yeah, well, thanks for inviting me to Fight IQ. You're 100% right when you say that us being back together again in this formal capacity after essentially 24 to 26 months away with a lot of exciting stuff planned for the immediate future. I didn't know that this day would ever come, but thanks for having me on. And history, I think, is the perfect word to describe it, regardless of how you feel, as you just said, about the quality of the fights, the political angle around it, all the controversy ahead of this event on Sunday night. It's finally here. It's finally happening. All the bells and whistles are done. Now it's about, okay, can a few of these things go a certain way regarding the weather and a few other logistics to make this event one of the biggest in UFC history, if not the biggest that they've ever done, which is crazy to think about because of how old school it feels. I mean, we'll get into this in just a little bit, but I think the sheer unpredictability of not knowing what's going to happen in some of these fights kind of makes it feel a little bit UFC one-ish, if you will. And I don't think a lot of people are really grasping that. There's going to be people that have never watched MMA before that are going to tune into this event for the sheer curiosity of it, and we will do our best to break it down, not just at an expert level, but also at a level to where some of you can understand this, because I'm sure out of the 127 people in this room right now, some of you guys maybe have never stumbled across us before. Maybe some of you guys have never stumbled across the UFC before. So if this is a crash course introduction, welcome. I'm glad to be here. I know you're glad to be here as well, and I'm excited to get started here as we try to dissect this event and historical magnitude over the next 2 hours.
Yeah, we are going for the next 2 hours to break down all the different matchups, talk about everything that's going on from the first fight to the main event, and we'll look at the betting odds, we'll give our best bets, we'll give our picks for and predictions for all 7 of these fights, and it should be a good time, which is shout out, by the way, to Galen McClurg, who voiced the introduction for us, which does the whole betting spiel. What happened?
Phenomenal job.
He did a phenomenal job. And he did the whole betting spiel that I don't have to repeat it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we get into anything else, however, especially given, like you said, Zain, with the modern accessibility and promotions, that there are people who are tuning into an MMA event for the first time. So if you're one of those people, welcome. And especially all of you, especially to you and as well to the rest of you, you know the drill. Make sure you are hitting that like button. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. You're hitting the notification bell so you get notified of everything here at the ETB network. Yes, make sure to ring the bell, not just for a fight, but ring the bell so that way you get notified of everything. You get all the shorts, all the live streams, all the videos from the ETB network. Obviously, plenty of more that we're going to do. Zain, you have Zain Zinger Part 2, where you're going to do a little more previewing in the hours leading up to
I sure will, yep. Yeah, it'll be, just to kind of piggyback what that's going to be. That's going to mostly be a Freedom 250 preview. I may put my matchmaker thinking cap on and try to predict what some of these other fights are going to be for the rest of the year. So I'm excited to do that. It's going to be based upon if my predictions are correct or not, to kind of forecast, no pun intended, with the football season right around the corner. We're going to try to forecast the remainder of the UFC schedule. We'll go over the World Cup. We'll go over the Stanley Cup and NBA Finals based on how the series are shaping up. And we'll spend the last 10 minutes, previewing everything else. And yeah, shout out to the New York Knicks. They're 1 win away from winning the NBA Finals. First time since 1973, if they can do it. I know this isn't a basketball stream, but how nervous are you for tonight's game?
This might be the only opportunity that I get an opportunity to wear a Knicks jersey on stream. Zain, I never thought in my entire life that, I didn't really, I was born in November of 94, so I didn't get to experience 94, and I was way too little to experience 99.
Right.
And then after the Ewing days, everything kind of sucked. We had Mello and Linsanity. We had those brief, flashes, but then just, and for most part, ever since 01, 02, it's been a terrible, terrible run. So they were always the losers of my life. And now they are 1 win away from giving New York City its first Big Four sports championship in 15 years. And for the Knicks, like you said, the first since 1973. So it's kind of shocking to believe that this is happening.
So
now, granted,
go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Now, granted, Scott Foster is refereeing tonight's game, so
I'm aware. But I have to imagine, though, regardless of what happens tonight, this is sports weekend heaven for you. Is it? Is it not? I mean, this has to be like as cinematic as you could possibly get.
Oh yeah, Zain. I need to go into Twitter for a second and see if I managed to bookmark something correctly. Okay, yeah. Here's something from Bleacher Report.
Okay.
Yeah, and they posted this back on Thursday.
Okay.
that this weekend might be one of the greatest sports stretches ever. We might be in the middle of. On
Okay.
Thursday, you had the World Cup start and the Stanley Cup final, Game 5. Tomorrow is going to be Game 6 that goes head-to-head with the White House card.
Right.
You have the White House card. The College World Series is now underway. The NCAA Track and Field Championships is underway. You got Game 5, Knicks versus Spurs tonight. Tommy Fury versus Eddie Hall is tonight,
Oh,
or
that's
maybe in a
right.
couple hours.
That's right. It starts at 5 your time, I'm pretty sure, I think, is when they walk out.
And on top of that, you've got in the combat sports world, MVP is tonight. PFL Africa is on right now, which I'm trying to double duty for. And then RAF, which the main event is Hamza Chimaev versus Dylan Dennis.
In St. Louis of all places, which is just bizarre, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a fantastic sports stretch we're in the middle of.
Well said, Tom. The only thing that's missing is a really, really big boxing event. I mean, obviously, you just said Fury versus Hall, but based on who you talk to, that's
very gimmicky.
No, right. That's super gimmicky. We're only missing a major boxing event to put the cherry on top. But nonetheless, though, yeah, that's a gigantic sports weekend, without a doubt.
Also, shout out to all of you who are watching on the X platforms we are broadcasting to. Shout out to the 150 plus of you who have already made your way in, and we're only 10 minutes into this broadcast. Give the like, give the retweet, quote tweet, or repost, quote post. Thanks, Elon. But then head over to our YouTube home, youtube.com/ETV Network, and hit the subscribe button there.
For sure. And drop your questions in because we will answer whatever you guys want for the next 2 hours. We're an open book this afternoon.
Absolutely. And make sure to follow us across social media at FightIQ and at ETV Network, and then myself and Zain at Bando99 and at Thomas J. Albano, respectively. All right. Let's get into all the action going on tomorrow. But first, Zain, we had a little bit of a week of craziness, and there is still more craziness to talk about.
Yes.
But all of last week, going back to ETV Lounge on Sunday, my show on Monday night, we talked about the lawsuit that was filed in the state of Virginia that was trying to shut down the lawsuit filed against the National Park Service and the U.S. Interior to try and shut down UFC White House. A judge yesterday has officially said, nope, no basis, and it is way too late. So UFC Freedom 250 is a thumbs up. It is a good to go for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, not to go too old school on you here. This was even before I was born, but it almost felt like we were going down a Dothan, Alabama path. Did it not a little bit? I mean, it felt a little old school.
Zain, I'll counter your old school with another old school. It felt like we were going down a UFC Detroit, a Motor City path, where all these random rules were going to be put in place.
Exactly. Well said. I mean, if you wanted a Wild West throwback from the 1990s, I think this was the modern day version of it.
Yeah, seriously. But the judge ultimately has dismissed the lawsuit. You had two people in Virginia, I guess we could call them public advocates, and a whole public advocacy group who was trying to basically claim that the event was illegal because it did not meet the exception for the events that could be held because of the 250th birthday of the United States.
Oh, Tom, by the way, I dressed appropriately.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I did.
I didn't, but I don't care. No, I don't care in a game like tonight. MVP, I love you. MVP, I love you. RAF, you're cool. You guys are going to the side. You're going to the side screens. The big screen's only for these guys tonight.
No, I don't blame you. That's what I'm doing too. Don't worry. And I'm not even. I don't have a team in this. And even I know that the NBA final should go on the TV. So.
Well, tomorrow, the Stanley Cup's going to go to the side because obviously the big screen will be then for the Freedom 250 card.
I would hope so, Tom. I would hope
Uh,
so.
but I kind of called this, and you kind of called this on ETB Lounge, and actually, I commented. I was doing comment interactions with the likes of you and Callan and Nick. That honestly, their basis of it doesn't meet the exemption. It does. Trump is working alongside Dana White now. Some of the stuff that they have talked about with the corruption stuff,
Yeah, it's kind of known that it's a little bit corrupt.
It is very also conflict of interesty because
It is.
the president of the United States has stock in TKO.
Yeah, that is very conflict of interest, and they want to try to do this Paramount merger, so it's a little bit murky.
No lawsuit looked like it came out last minute, but how long do you think they were sitting?
Well,
See, that's the thing.
Dana said they've known about it for a while, though.
But see, here's the thing with that. You talk about how long are they sitting on this lawsuit? Why would they wait until the week before to go public with it?
I have no idea. That was dumb.
If they had done it last year as soon as Trump announced it, or had they done it as soon as the UFC confirmed the plans in what was it, fall at some point?
They confirmed it on my birthday, I think, is when they confirmed it. From what I remember. Yeah.
So my point is, why didn't they choose to go public with it then?
Mm-hmm.
You could have had a chance to stop it.
Oh, they would have had a case for sure, I think.
But waiting to see, Nick's talking about how long are they sitting on it? Ultimately, I think if they did, that cost them.
It did. It really did. In their argument, and I don't know if you watched the guy from the Public Integrity Project's interviews, but it seemed like he was not really handling himself all that well, and he was only projecting the negative energy instead of formulating his opinion to the general public. I'm not sure if you felt similarly. It's felt like all he wanted to do.
But I feel like maybe that was kind of their point.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just to get negative publicity towards the card.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're Dana White, we've seen Dana make great cases out of negative publicity.
Oh, yeah. UFC 249 is a prime example of, without a doubt.
But at the same rate,
and if you remember, we were two of those people. This was before I really knew you, but in our internal Slack group at a old MMA employer where you and I used to work at, you and I were both in agreement that we were a little worried back then that it wasn't a good idea.
Mm-hmm. We were pretty worried. I mean, that was COVID. That was a time. That was very, very early COVID. That was a time where we were all scratching our heads, wondering what the hell was going on.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I thought you were going to go to was UFC 223. I think Brooklyn with the.
Oh yeah. That one was scary too, but I think people knew the event was going to happen. It was just going to be a matter of who Khabib was fighting.
Who Khabib was fighting and who was really available.
Right.
After the whole, and then Conor himself getting arrested.
Right. By the way, speaking of Brooklyn, I don't know where Dana said it, but speaking of that, just as a side note, very briefly, they will never go back to Brooklyn again, according to Dana White.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because they canceled the Khabib-Tony fight when the UFC told them not to in 2020. They wanted to do it in Brooklyn without fans. They wanted to still make the fight happen without fans, and the Barclays Center said no, and they weren't willing to reschedule the fight.
Okay, because I was going to say, I think the problem with that is, didn't the mayor at the time, didn't de Blasio try shutting down legitimately everything here in New York City? So the Barclays weren't, you can't fault them completely.
No, but Barclays Center wasn't willing to compromise and give them another alternative like post-COVID. So the UFC said, yeah, our relationship's over.
Damn.
So you will never
MSG all the way.
You will never see them in Brooklyn ever again. So MSG all the way, yeah.
Oh, see? MSG.
Yeah,
like these guys.
There you go. I kind of sort of told you that on purpose just for you to say that. So there you go. There you go.
But yeah, this was kind of very, I don't want to say frivolous, because you know what? they do have points, but at the same time, they're not getting anywhere.
They just waited way too long. They waited way too long.
Waited way too long, and I don't know. It's kind of an uphill battle when the CEO of the UFC is longtime friends and business partners with the President of the United States of America.
Right.
So that wasn't happening.
No.
De Blasio screwing something up. Yep. All right. So the good news is this judge has given the thumbs up for the card.
Yeah, so we have fights, ladies and gentlemen. We have 7 of them.
The bad news is potentially
the weather.
Yeah, so we had talked about on Sunday and Monday how the weather conditions seem to be improving in Washington, D.C. However, now 1 day before the card, there is rain in the forecast again in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, in fact, Tom, just to give you a little nugget, I actually just drafted a piece on this. Shameless plug. It'll be out on MMA Knockout on Sports Illustrated tomorrow morning. But based on my internal reporting, there's an 80% chance of rain. The feel-like temperature is going to be 102. It'll drop to a high of 74 in the evening, and there's a 55% chance of thunderstorms between 6 and 8 p.m. Eastern. So we might be in for a rough night.
So according to the Google machine, during the 6 p.m. hour tomorrow night in D.C. is an 80% chance of rain. It will then clear during the 7 and 8 p.m. hours. However, quarter of the way through the show, about 9 p.m. Eastern, you have a 50% chance of rain throughout. Actually, this goes into the next day. So 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and I can't see the over. Okay. The weather, it then clears around midnight, rains again at 1 a.m., and it will clear at 2 a.m.
Well, you want to know something interesting, all things considered? I went on the Paramount machine about a couple hours ago to check the stream tiles to see if they were up. Well, they are up, and they tentatively have the event scheduled between 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday all the way till 3 a.m. on Monday. That's the window they have for the entire card according to the stream tiles on Paramount.
So basically,
I was gonna make a suggestion though,
and
tell me if you agree with this. Why not start the fights in the afternoon at 1 or 2 in the afternoon?
Now, I remember reading something somewhere. I kind of forget where exactly. But like in the contingency plan, supposedly they could move things within like
that was in the MMA Junkie article that was posted the other day.
Okay, so supposedly they can move things up to a 6 p.m. Eastern start time.
Oh, that's the earliest they can start it?
Supposedly. And then it could move back as far as maybe like 10 p.m. Eastern, like the old pay-per-view time.
Oh my God.
Which means if that starts at 10 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be up to 2, 3 in the morning. And
yeah, we're both screwed.
Yeah, well, Zain, I am one of those people where Monday morning I have to get up to work, and I cannot take another day off.
Yeah, and that means you might have to threaten to cancel your post-fight show if that's the case, because you gotta sleep.
I know that's gonna put me in a really compromising position at that point.
No, I know.
There's a chance, Zain, I might purposely stay awake the rest of this night and not wake up till like right before the card.
Oh wait, you mean stay up and then go to
like right now it's 2:24, stay up another like 17 hours, go to bed, and then get up right before the card just in case the weather screws me tomorrow.
Oh, that's probably your only option, I would think.
because I'm getting. Well, now here's the thing. Dana White has openly stated, rain or shine, we
They're
are doing
fighting.
this.
They're fighting.
Yeah, rain, sun, even snow. If you had a June snowstorm, they are fighting.
Which would be one of the sickest TV shots in human history if that were to actually ever happen.
They said, you know what they're gonna do?
Do it! Just do it!
Just do it.
They're just gonna do it. Now,
Tom, do you want to know what's so dumb right now? If you look at the weather in Washington, D.C. right now, they could have been smart and they could have done it tonight with no issues. I'm just saying. They could have done it tonight with no issues at all.
What about the original plans of having this on the 4th of July?
So I'm going to counter you there. So the reason why this fight was moved, and I'm not sure if you know this, it's because Trump, whose birthday they're celebrating, by the way, is going to be in 3 different states on July 4th. So the White House said no.
3 different states?
Yeah. So the White House said no, and they moved it to Flag Day. That's what happened.
What's he going to be in 3 different states for?
Probably doing 4th of July stuff. I don't know.
Did they say what states he's going to be in?
No, that's not public information. At least as far as I know, it's not. All I know is that he was going to be in 3 different locations. So that's why they moved it. So it was supposed to be Saturday, July 4th. And technically, we shouldn't even be sitting here right now. But that's the position we're in. So...
And you could have done, like you said, you could have done it on the Saturday, but we had to do it on the president's birthday.
I know. And you could have done it at Capitol One Arena as a backup, and instead they decided not to do that.
No, we want the lawn. Our way or the highway. That's what they do.
You want to know what doesn't make sense either? Because I thought before that all this was announced, and this is neither here nor there now, because they're not going to listen to me. I thought when they said that they were going to do a fight at the White House, I literally thought they meant inside the White House, not outside on the South Lawn when they first announced it.
You thought they were going to fight in the lobby of the White House. You thought they were going to fight in the Oval Office.
Yeah, I did.
right in front of the president's desk. Right in front of the executive branch itself. That is our great country. The fact that you mentioned, they could do Capital One Arena, and you and I both checked. We both double checked, triple checked. There are no events in Capital One Arena for a while.
Right. And there's no events at Georgetown for a while either.
So, all due respect to the president and all due respect to Dana White, but
dumbass.
Yeah,
that's a real dumb to not have a backup.
I'm sure, and I don't know this because I don't work for the promotion, but I'm sure if I were to guess, there are internal employees that have probably said to them, "Guys, what are we actually doing here?"
Like, I love the concept, but
do you think the pictures and videos that have come out are really cool though?
Yes, I love the concept, but where are the contingency plans? Like, they are being really ballsy saying there are none and we are going on with these things.
Absolutely.
That's now we've seen Dana White be ballsy and things pay off.
This is probably the ballsiest out of
You're fighting Mother Nature.
Which is something that he said for 15 years he can't stand. And he's breaking his own rule to do it.
Yeah, he hates outdoor events. Now, Zain, I'm going to speak from personal sense.
Okay.
I'm going to speak of a personal story. I have witnessed an amateur MMA card get canceled midway through a show because of weather.
Oh, you went to an amateur MMA fight that got canceled?
So in 2011, when I was doing karate, I had a friend who was starting an amateur MMA run. He was taking a couple of amateur fights. Okay. And one fight card, I believe it was an Asylum Fight League card in New Jersey.
Okay. Was this back when Asylum was like well known in that area too and stuff like that? Yeah.
Yeah. They did a card at the stadium that hosts. I forget what the stadium name is, but it was the stadium that hosted the then Lakewood Blue Claws, now Jersey Shore Blue Claws, the
Okay.
single A affiliates of the Phillies.
Okay, probably one of those like smaller theaters, right, or something like that.
No, it was a stadium.
Oh, okay.
Stadium, outdoor baseball stadium, and rain came down. And what happened was when they, a fight went down, when they tried to supposedly clear the mat, they used the wrong substance, and it made things even more slippier. So they had to shut the car down midway through.
No way. So you remember being there when they postponed
They announced we're done. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
And I'm not trying to be a nerd, but my nerdiness is going to come out. Did they ever reschedule the event?
Fights got rescheduled, but I don't think the event itself did.
Did they still do it in your area or no? Or did they move it to a different state?
I mean, they still had events throughout Jersey and such, but
okay.
I don't think they tried an outdoor event ever again.
Okay. And
which I don't blame them.
Hopefully your friend got rescheduled because that's
he did. He and the opponent he was going to get booked for got booked for a different amateur card a few months later.
Did you go to that?
Yes.
Okay.
So that all good there. But yeah, no, I'm just saying, I'm speaking from experience. I have witnessed things go wrong. And I think some people are tuning into this, Zan.
Because of the spectacle, right?
Right. Not just the spectacle of it, but the spectacle if things go wrong.
Right.
Like that's a whole other thing in itself, the idea of things going wrong.
So I have to know, because I wasn't there, but you were, so I have to ask. When you were on the hangar for the UFC 244 press conference, was that outdoors or was that indoors?
It was outdoors.
Okay.
Fortunately, the weather was fine.
Okay, so, I mean, they've done outdoor things before, obviously, as we've just alluded to, but never anything like this.
Yeah. Never, as far as I know, never with the kind of weather risk that we have right now.
Speaking of the weather, did you watch part of the press conference last night?
I tuned in for bits and pieces, but by the time the press conference started, because of the 2-hour delay for the weather, the U.S. World Cup game was on, so I was watching that.
Fair. So I can give you a clip. You mind if I give you clip notes? Because I watched the whole thing.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
So the press conference went off, but it wasn't without nervousness. I mean, people were pissed. People had waited there, some for 4 hours, just for that thing to even start.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not envy those people. And I kind of thought, oh, if I was there, would I have gone? And I think I would have said no. But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, it went off without a hitch, I guess. It felt very MVP-like with the way they had the stages and the daises set up, which was interesting. Everybody faced off in front of the Lincoln Memorial, which garnered a lot of controversy. The audio was fine. I thought there was going to be some audio issues because of the impending weather, but the audio was fine on the stream's end itself. Yeah, I mean, I thought the press conference was whatever. It was very generic. There was no national media really asking questions. It was all of our usual suspects from our MMA community, which I thought was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it felt very much like well, you've been to plenty of these. It felt very graduation, congregation heavy with the way they had the chairs laid out. It was almost like the way they had the white chairs laid out. It felt like people were going to toss their cap and gowns. That's how weird the
I love. For some reason, I love the way you deliver that. Oh, you've been to plenty of these.
Yeah. So
I'm like, are you taking a shot at me being in education? Or are you taking a shot at me with my postgraduate degrees?
No. It's just because it very much resembled the way they had it set up. Like, wait a minute, is this a press conference or a graduation ceremony?
Well, Dana White is going to be the speaker.
By the way, the funniest part, though, and then we'll move on, is
Ilia Topuria, the valedictorian of the evening.
Which, by the way, I think he would do very well because he tried to keep everybody on their best behavior. But nonetheless, the weirdest part though was Dana White mistaking plain English for Spanish.
Oh my God, I saw that and I just cringed. I'm like, oh God, this guy really just. Sometimes I wonder how much of heart Dana White still has in the UFC, and that was one of those moments. I'm like, I had to question it. I'm like, dude, what the hell did you just?
Yeah, something tells me the way he was acting last night that he hasn't gotten very much sleep the last couple of days.
Probably, he's probably like me the weekend that I moved into the new apartment.
Which, by the way, speaking of the new apartment, is that how you want it to be so far?
Oh, my apartment, I love it.
It's fantastic.
It is fantastic. But right now, I'm in the lab.
Yeah, obviously from your virtual green screen, and I know you're in the lab physically too. So,
kayfabe, man.
No, I know.
Yeah. So what are the contingency plans? Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. So Nick Morgeson actually just texted me something.
Okay, he texted you. This is interesting. He usually doesn't do this midstream.
No. It's Slack. It's in Slack.
Okay.
He copied and pasted something. Okay, so maybe this provides a little background to what the Trump thing with the 4th of July plan. One of President Donald Trump's signature plans for celebrating the country's 250th birthday is the, quote, Great American State Fair, a 16-day showcase on the National Mall meant to feature every state and territory. But days before the event is set to begin, several states have declined to participate. At least 8 states, Connecticut, Illinois, your state, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Maine, Oregon, Washington, Pennsylvania, have said they will not take part in the fair, according to statements from state officials or comments to media outlets.
It's not a surprise. We are a very blue state. So that is not a surprise at all.
So maybe he's traveling to these places or to certain states instead. Like he traveled to New York for the one game of the NBA Finals so far.
Right.
The Knicks have lost.
Exactly.
Let's
see. And speaking of you just saying that, let's see if Trump actually makes it through the event or if the camera catches him sleeping again.
Let's see if Dana White makes it through the entire event without scrolling through Twitter during one of the fights.
Oh, he probably will. You know, I caught him red-handed in Chicago doing that, right?
I remember you telling me this.
Yeah. During DDP Hamzat, which I honestly couldn't blame him for doing so, but
unfortunately. All right. I think it's time we dove into some fights.
That sounds good. So, Tom, I don't know if you know this. You may not know this. Are you ready with what I'm about to tell you?
Okay.
Tell me. This is UFC history in the making, not just because of these fights, not just because of the significance, but Tom, for the first time since probably 1997 or 98, there are no prelims on this card. Every single fight is a main card fight.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of that's similar to this was I mentioned the Brooklyn card in 2018 when the early prelims were canceled. We just had straightforward TV prelims because of all the fallout. There were only 8 fights or 9 fights.
Really? So the last known time this happened was probably in 2018?
Probably. Because at that point, with all the dropouts, there were no early prelims. They said, we're just going to start at 8 o'clock Eastern when the TV prelims hit.
Interesting. Do you remember who fought on that card? I know you're a historian of East Coast UFC.
I remember the main event was Khabib. I remember it was Ally Quinta that ultimately got the shot. I can't even say got the shot. Technically, they said, he's not a higher ranked contender, and he weighed in already.
UFC 223 in April of 2018.
And Dana White. See, I wanted Ally Quinta to win just simply because the commissions were like, no, we're not going to recognize him. And Dana was like, screw you. If he wins, we're recognizing him as champion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to
wonder.
see what the hell was going to happen with that.
Oh, for sure. I bet. Now I didn't go to that fight, but I bet those tickets plummeted as those changes kept popping up.
So here was the prelim card for that card, Zan. It was Devin Clark versus Mike Rodriguez, Ashley Evans Smith versus Beck Rawlings, Olivier Aubin Mercier versus Evan Dunham, and Carolina Kowalkiewicz versus Felice Herrig.
So wait a minute, is that every fight you just mentioned? I think every single one of those fighters is no longer in the UFC anymore, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Devin Clark's out of the UFC, right?
I think so.
Oh, my computer's now frozen. Yeah, he's gone. The main card. So you had Khabib versus Iaquinta, Rose versus Joanna 2, which was fantastic. Renato Moicano versus Calvin Kattar.
Which was a big fight back then.
Yeah. Zabit versus Kyle Bochniak. I miss Zabit.
Yeah, nobody knows what happened to Zabit, unfortunately.
He was going to be the next big thing. He left undefeated.
I know.
And the main card opener was Chris Guttemacher versus Joe Lozon.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Definitely. That's definitely one word for it that happened after.
Wait, you mean Chris Guttemacher? I think is how you say it.
But yeah, that was a real interesting time. All right, Zan, do you want to do it like old days? Do you want to go from the top down?
Yeah, that would make sense.
All right, so we'll lead off with the main event. Undisputed UFC Lightweight Championship. You've got the champion Ilia Topuria taking on the interim champion Justin Gaethje. Ilia Topuria captured the lightweight championship last year, moving up, vacating the featherweight championship to move up to lightweight, knocking out Charles Oliveira at UFC 327 to retain the belt, to win the belt, and then
very close. That was actually UFC 317.
I said 17.
You said 27.
I said 27?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, 317. Pardon me. 317. And then this is his first time that he's making a title defense because unfortunately Ilia has been dealing with the really personal and pretty harsh custody battle for his child, which he did win. And if you have watched the UFC embeddeds, you have seen Ilia's son with him throughout this
Yes,
fight.
I have. I've watched those, and I've also watched the countdown, which, Tom, if you haven't, it's one of the most well-produced countdowns they've ever done. They did a good job.
I discovered the other day, Zan, that my smart TV here actually contains a UFC channel. So all weekend, it's been playing the UFC Connected. It's been playing the UFC Embeddeds, classic fights with all the White House people.
That's fantastic.
You're
probably going to be using that channel more than you know what to do with.
Oh, and then I discovered that it also has a stadium channel that has like PFL, has had bare knuckle. Yeah, it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so you feel like you're in mini heaven a little bit with those two channels.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't blame you.
I think there's an old Bellator channel too.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But yeah, so Ilia's been on the sidelines for the last year, since the last year, dealing with that, and then Justin Gaethje gets another opportunity. He beats Paddy Pimblett at the start of the year, 324, the first Paramount card, becomes interim champion. This is his second run as an interim champion. He was interim champion. He beat Tony Ferguson at a card that you mentioned, Zan, UFC 249. That first COVID card to become interim champ, then ends up losing to Khabib Nurmagomedov in Khabib's retirement fight, and then also fails in one of the most bizarre title fights in UFC history because he lost to Charles Oliveira, and Oliveira had already lost the title on the scales.
Oh, I do remember that. Yep.
So for Justin Gaethje, this is the third crack that he's getting at an undisputed lightweight title,
and likely his last one. There's rumblings that he might retire if he loses. So,
well, at that point, if you lose 3 undisputed title fights in a circumstance like Gaethje might, at that point, it's either fight out your career and be the guy at lightweight, go for the BMF again, be a gatekeeper at lightweight, or move up or down weight.
yeah, no kidding.
But as far as this one particular fight goes, sorry, give me a sec. As far as this particular fight goes, I mean, let's be real. And I gave, by the way, thoughts and analysis on MMAnews.com earlier this week. You can check out the article, which is UFC Freedom 250 odds, picks, and best bets. Predictions for every fight on the card. It was published on June 10th. So the odds are probably out of date at this point, but still, the analysis is the analysis. And Zain, here's the thing. On one hand, Ilia Topuria, I think, would have the ground advantage only because Justin Gaethje, I mean, we've talked about it time and time again, Zain, with Justin Gaethje's fights. He has the wrestling background, and he was a solid wrestler back in his collegiate days. He doesn't use his wrestling.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't want to use his wrestling because he wants firefights, which is great, but we've seen instances where maybe there were fights that he could have won or done better in, but his desire for an entertaining fight, his desire for a brawl, and he ends up paying the price for it.
We also have really never seen Ilia off his back before.
That is true as well, but that's why with the ground game, I might want to say, hey, maybe Ilia should try to take this to the ground. But let's face it, the way these two guys are, I don't think this fight's seeing the ground.
I don't think so either.
I think these two are just going to strike and strike and strike. I don't see this fight lasting long. I see this fight maybe lasting only 2 rounds or so, just simply because these two both are going to want to bring forward pressure. Even though they both have some solid ground games to them, their focus is going to be, all right, we're going to end this historic card with a bang, boom, boom, throwing it down like Max Holloway, like when Gaethje got knocked out by Holloway.
Yep.
And just bang out until one of them goes out.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. To get to my pick, I like Ilia Topuria in the second round by knockout, and the reason why is simply because I just think Topuria right now is on a generational run. You were kind of mentioning it a few minutes ago. If he were to win this fight, you would have wins over Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira, and then Justin Gaethje. I think that's a Hall of Fame level resume if I've ever seen one. And Ilia just has so much momentum right now. He's 29 years old, 17-0 at the height of his powers. Has an impending fight with Islam Makhachev potentially, depending on who Islam fights next, or if he even does fight later this summer. That's been the rumor going around the MMA sphere for a while.
Yeah. The rumor, for full context, the rumor is that Islam Makhachev, and I've talked about this, I think, on the first Fight IQ. The rumor is Islam will make his first welterweight title defense against Ian Machado Gary in August at UFC 330 in Philly.
Yeah, that is the rumor on the street, which maybe, just maybe tomorrow night, we might get an announcement about it. You never know.
I know they did announce today, an hour or two before we came on here, they did reveal the UFC 329 poster with McGregor and Holloway.
Yeah, that poster was cool. What do you think of it?
I like it.
Now, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put this into existence, but do we think, and I know we're segueing just slightly a little bit, do we think UFC 329 goes off the way it's supposed to? Do you think we're in for a manic week next week where everything just falls apart?
Well, you know what? I hate interrupting segments by going back to old segments, but let's go back to this to answer this question.
Okay.
Only because, with McGregor, it's always, with me, I'll believe it when I actually see it. But as far as this goes, because I think this would be the bigger concern, because when would the fight take place? Because we're talking, I remember last week on Lounge, you and Nick and Cal were talking about, could 329 and 330 be shaken up if this card gets interrupted somehow, some way tomorrow night?
I don't think so, because I think 329 is already built. I don't think they would move fights off 329.
No, and it goes back to what I mentioned in what I posted in the comments on the Lounge stream. You know, I dare Dana to try to go up to Ilia, Justin, Alex, and Ciryl and say, you guys have to fight behind Conor McGregor, because
No,
I
they
think
wouldn't- they wouldn't. They would refuse to fight
Yeah.
at that point. I think.
And like I said, if I remember, and like I also commented on that stream, if I remember correctly, Connor said even at this point, the only person he would do a co-main event slot for, be willing to move back from main to co-main, is John Jones.
Right, which makes logical sense. I mean, they're the two biggest draws outside of Ilia and Pereira that the UFC has. Right,
So at that point, you know, it's either the cards got to go down tomorrow, or it's got to happen at like Capital One Arena on Monday night, or you're going to see UFC 330 get screwed up really bad.
Absolutely.
Because at that point, you know, then it becomes the question of, would Islam Makhachev share the spotlight with any of these guys? And I don't know.
Islam, I think, is more chill. I don't think he would mind doing it. It's Ilia that I think we'd have a problem.
All right, fair enough. As far as this fight goes, like I said, you know, I think Gaethje, and I'll take some quotes also from my article on MMA News.
Okay.
Gaethje's warlike approach, Topuria's powerful striking. There's going to be plenty of violence here. So, as I just told you before, I don't think this fight's lasting the full 25 minutes.
No, I don't think most MMA pundits believe that. I think most of us believe it's going to be short.
I think what it's going to come down. Yeah, I don't even think this fight gets to the 10-minute mark. I think round 1 or 2, this fight's ending. I think what it's going to come down to, though, Zain, specifically, can Ilia remain technical as Gaethje is trying to come at him with the volume and pressure that he does? Because I want to say, based on the fact that Ilia knocked out Max Holloway, which nobody had done before, I think that's very possible.
I think so.
So I'm gonna say Ilia Topuria, either first or second round knockout. Now, stupid question, Zain, but do you want to save the best bet? Do you just want to do picks right now and then we'll look at best bets later?
Sure, we could do that.
Okay. So,
are you picking Ilia, I would assume?
Yeah. So you said Ilia, but Ilia via KO TKO in round 2, right?
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be round 1 or round 2?
I would probably lean to round 2. Although I think it's more likely, you know, if it wasn't round 2 and you forced me to pick round 1 or round 3, I would lean more towards round 1 than I would round 3.
Okay.
I don't see this fight. Like I said, I don't see this fight going to the 10-minute mark, let alone the 25-minute mark.
Okay.
So that's my play. Well, that's my pick. We'll talk about our plays and our bets in a little bit. Co-main event, interim heavyweight champion is going to be crowned as Alex Pereira meets Ciryl Gane. Zain, did you watch the weigh-ins today?
I did. Pereira's massive.
251 pounds.
No wonder
this man a couple of years ago was cutting to 185.
No wonder this move to heavyweight was a good idea.
He looks huge.
Tom,
Did you imagine that? You saw the power he had at middleweight and light heavyweight. What's he gonna have tomorrow?
I have no idea, but that's gonna be one of the most bone-chilling walkouts you've ever seen. That's gonna be unbelievable.
And he's the co-main event.
I know.
And by the way, you talk about history that could be made tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, this is history in the making. He has a chance
If
to be a
Alex
three-weight
Pereira
world
wins,
champion.
no fighter in UFC history, I don't even know if there's a fighter in MMA history that has won championships in 3 different weight classes.
I don't think it's ever
been
happened.
I know it's been tried before. I know somebody in one championship tried and failed. And then
Somebody in Pride did. I know that.
Pride, KSW, because what's his name? Pernace, who competed on the main card of MVP.
Right.
They talked about him. He had tried. He won at featherweight and lightweight, and I think he tried for welterweight and was unsuccessful.
And he didn't win. I knew that.
Nobody in a major MMA promotion all over the world has ever won, championships in 3 different weight classes. If Alex Pereira does it tomorrow, even though it's interim and not undisputed, he will have done something that no other MMA fighter has ever done before. And Alex Pereira has not competed in MMA for a long time. He was a prolific kickboxer, a champ in glory kickboxing. And then he goes over to the UFC and quickly picks up championships in 2 different weight classes. Now he could go for a 3rd. Alex Pereira, there is a lot of legacy on the line this fight.
I mean, you want to talk legacy. I mean, I get it. It's interim. It's not the real heavyweight title. But
Zain, and we'll talk about a situation right after we give our picks and our analysis. We'll talk about a situation that's going on with the heavyweight championship because I've talked about it on Fight IQ, and I'm curious about your thoughts with it, Zain. But continue.
No, for sure. We'll get to that. I know where you're going with it.
Okay.
But nonetheless, though, interim heavyweight title, undisputed heavyweight title, a 3-weight world champion is a 3-weight world champion, and something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is the Ciryl Gane side of this. This is his 4th overall heavyweight title fight.
Ciryl Gane.
I was just going to say, if he wins tomorrow, he has a chance to go to 2-2 in heavyweight title fights.
So Ciryl Gane, for those of you who don't know, is a former interim heavyweight champion, just like Justin Gaethje. He is in his if he wins this fight, it would be his 2nd interim championship. He was the interim champion. He won it in 2021, defeating Derek Lewis. That earned him a shot at UFC 270 against then champion Francis Ngannou in what would be Ngannou's only title defense before Ngannou left the promotion.
Right.
After Ngannou left the promotion, Gane was then put as the B-side to a returning John Jones in a vacant heavyweight title fight that headlined UFC 285, I believe.
That's correct. March of 2023.
And John Jones wiped the floor with him even more than Francis Ngannou did to win that title. So Ciryl Gane, I mentioned the Justin Gaethje comparison. Well, here's another comparison, Zain. This is also his 3rd crack at, like you said, this is his 4th crack at a title. And if he wins this fight, he will get a 3rd crack at a heavyweight championship. So Ciryl Gane, you could say what you want about what happened against Tom Aspinall because that was just a sad and awkward situation all in one.
Oh, 1,000%.
But at the same time, if he loses to Alex Pereira, it feels like maybe this is potentially Gane's last opportunity as well.
I think it probably is. And a lot of people believe, Tom, that Ciryl Gane shouldn't even be in this fight to begin with. So, I mean, I think that adds even more pressure to this fight than anything else.
I would agree, but
I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying that other people.
I know. No, there's a very big but here, Zain. And that big but is that when he fought Tom Aspinall at UFC 321, before it got stopped for the eye poke, Gane was winning that fight.
Oh, yeah.
So if that fight had gone the way that it did, potentially Ciryl Gane is the UFC heavyweight champion right now.
And he's in the red corner instead of the blue corner.
Right. But I'm going to say something pretty unfortunate, at least for his sake, to counter it. And I've been pretty blunt about saying it. And I've said it when, during streams where you and Jack were hosting Outsiders. I think the UFC is making the right move, allowing Pereira to move up to heavyweight. And I'll be very blunt. The UFC should secretly be hoping that Alex Pereira wins this fight. I think if Ciryl Gane wins this fight, the heavyweight division and the kerfuffle, the logjam that it's in is going to continue.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's actually a perfect segue because there's the Tom Aspinall angle to this as well. And we'll get into this. So, Eddie Hearn is Tom Aspinall's advisor, if you will. And Eddie Hearn has been very open about his relationship with Dana White, his relationship with his client, and what Eddie Hearn alleges is what the UFC is paying Aspinall to return to the octagon to fight either a Pereira or a Gane in his first fight back from injury, which is allegedly 1/50th, his words, not mine, of what Aspinall is worth to the heavyweight division.
Wait, did he say 1/50th?
Yeah, he did.
Oh my God. I guess what he's referring to is the fact that maybe Aspinall, now, to be forthcoming to those who are new or casuals or don't watch boxing, Eddie Hearn is the person the agency that Tom Aspinall signed to is Matchroom Talent Agency, but Eddie Hearn is more known for Matchroom Boxing, a boxing promotion headquartered over in England, and we are coming. I mentioned Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou left the UFC as heavyweight champion, and then took Tyson Fury to the limit in a non-title fight and almost got the win. And some, and I'm one of those people, think that Francis Ngannou should have gotten the win in that fight, which would have earned Francis Ngannou a shot at the WBC heavyweight championship, which is weird to think about.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
So we have seen a successful transition into the world of boxing for heavyweight champions. We've seen UFC champions, especially heavyweight champions, leave the promotion. So I guess Eddie Hearn is saying, hey, why is it that Tom Aspinall, was going to settle for whatever, $250,000, $500,000 at the top of a card for a heavyweight title fight when he can make millions of dollars being a boxer?
Mm-hmm. Which is a fair question, right? It's a matter of, does Tom want to actually move forward with that? And the question is going to be, is can he get out of his UFC deal? That's the other question.
I don't think so.
I don't.
Eddie Hearn called it out. Eddie Hearn called out Dana White and said, "Release Tom Aspinall if you're going to do all this stuff to him." Dana's response was, "Okay, I'll release Tom Aspinall if you release Bam Rodriguez, and allow Bam Rodriguez to sign with Zuffa Boxing."
Almost like it's a mini trade, if you will.
Yeah, so part of this, Zuffa Boxing is a boxing promotion that Dana White has set up and has monthly events. Part of the, Eddie Hearn and Dana White have had a good relationship in the past, but Hearn is not happy with him because Conor Ben ended up signing for a fight with Zuffa Boxing, and that rubbed Eddie the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's what this ultimately comes down to.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So what do you think, Zain? Regardless of who your pick's going to be, do you think Tom Aspinall fights the winner of Pereira Gane?
Yeah, I've told you privately I think they get a deal done. Yeah, absolutely. All right, and it's going to be the same thing I told you last week. The winner of this fight tomorrow is going to fight Aspinall in the main event at Madison Square Garden in November.
So that means then you think this fight's going to end pretty quickly.
Yeah, I do. I think Pereira's going to knock out Gane in the first round. That's my pick.
Okay, I think you and I agree on the same on the same wavelength here.
Oh, actually, no, I was more conservative. I think Pereira wins in the third round. I think it's a grueling first two rounds, but Pereira still gets the stoppage.
I'm gonna go for first rounder. I think we've seen Gane dominated with wrestling by, of all people, Francis Ngannou. We saw Jones take him out in just a couple of minutes. I looked at the odds the day that I published my piece for MMA News, and it was basically a 50-50 pick 'em play on the money line. And I'm like, no, I feel like that's disrespectful. I mean, I get they were trying to give Gane respect as somebody who's been a heavyweight mainstay. I felt that was so disrespectful for what Alex Pereira has done in this sport in a quick time period.
I think so too. I think you're 100% right.
And like I mentioned, you look like he did not look like an obese 251 today.
No,
he looked like jacked 250.
No, he looked jacked. He did.
So you saw him knock out Israel Adesanya at 185. You saw him batter. You saw him batter Magomed Ankalaev at 205. You saw him score scary knockouts of the likes of Jamal Hill and Yuri Prohaska at 205.
You saw him knock out Khalil Roundtree the way he did.
So imagine that kind of power, then, Zain, transitioning over to heavyweight.
Unreal.
And he looked stronger than he did at those two weight classes.
Oh, yeah.
I think Ciryl Gane is going to be one punch away from taking a nap on the White House lawn.
I think so, too. And Gane better be ready to try to wrestle Pereira, because that's the only way I think he wins. What do you think?
I think Magomed Ankalaev in the first fight with Pereira showed that. The way you win that fight is wrestle. And keep him down the entire time, too.
Keep him down and drag it into a 25-minute boring decision.
That's ultimately what they're going to have to do.
I would agree.
Because if he tries to swing with him, he's going to pay a very dear price.
Now, Tom, last question before we move away from this fight. Dana White told TNT Sports UK's Adam Catterall earlier this week that the original plan for the main event of the White House was supposed to be Tom Aspinall versus Alex Pereira. How do you feel when Dana says something like that?
I'm going to counter that because months ago in another interview, Zain, he talked about openly what his dream matchup for the White House card was. Tom Aspinall was on it, but it wasn't Alex Pereira in the other corner. It wasn't Ciryl Gane in the other corner. You want to guess who was in the other corner?
Jon Jones.
He wanted the White House card main event to be Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall to unify the heavyweight title.
Then he said, yeah, Jon Jones headlining the White House card is $1 billion to 1.
Yeah, mixed message. He said dream main event, but like you said, I know he also has talked about how he doesn't trust Jon in the condition, for such an important card, which John's response was then release me from the UFC, just like Tom Aspinall.
Yep.
This heavyweight division is something else, dude.
It is. And by the way, if you want heavyweight history to fall asleep to, MMA on Point did a 30-minute video of how messed up MMA's heavyweight division actually is and explained the history of the lineal UFC champion. It was super fascinating.
If I remember right, the first time they did a lineal championship video years ago, they said that the lineal heavyweight championship had finally to return to where it once was in the UFC. And now at this point, with Francis Ngannou leaving the UFC,
it hasn't been defended in years.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So Francis Ngannou at this point, until we know that Ngannou is laying down the gloves for good, we don't know when we're gonna have another lineal MMA heavyweight championship fight.
No, we don't know. We don't know, and we may never know, Tom. That's the unfortunate part.
So it's like the number of licks to figure out how to get to the Tootsie Roll center of the Tootsie Pop. The world may never know.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, the world really may never know about that. But, Zain, there is something I do know.
And what is that? What do we know?
I know where to tune into tomorrow if I need to get a little bit of I need to get a little bit more of a preview fix for this card. And that's with you, my friend.
Yes, sir. That is certainly with me. That is correct.
So it is a weekend unlike any other in the history of combat sports. The eyes of the world are turning to Washington, D.C. as the White House prepares to host the most historic event in UFC history, UFC Freedom 250. And the Empty the Bench Network is your home for every second of the action. We have wall-to-wall coverage lined up to take you from the weigh-ins all the way to the final closing of the Octagon door on the South Lawn. Here's your broadcast schedule. Obviously, right now, you have me and Zain for UFC Freedom 250 pre-show. But tomorrow, Sunday, June 14th, 11 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern, start your fight day right with a special edition of Zain Zinger Part 2, where Zain Bando dives into the final narratives and last-minute updates you cannot miss. And then, tomorrow night, following the card, once the dust settles on the South Lawn, stay locked right here for the UFC Freedom 250 post-fight show.
Assuming we haven't mentally destroyed ourselves.
Assuming that this card ends around midnight and not 4 in the morning. Once the dust settles on the South Lawn, stay locked right here for the UFC Freedom 250 post-fight show. Myself, Albano, and Sam Bando will have the immediate reaction scorecard analysis and a look at what's next for the winners and losers of this historic milestone event. So don't miss a single moment of the coverage. Follow the Empty the Bench Network all weekend long as we bring you closer to the cage than ever before.
Yep, that's exactly it.
So we've got plenty more that we're going to be doing. And let's talk about a little bit of an elephant in the room as well before we get to the other 5 fights in our bets. We know that Tough is supposed to premiere tomorrow, the newest season of Tough.
Yes.
And Zain and I guess we'll take the time right now to talk about that. An old show, an old friend will be returning to the scene. We just don't know what time because of UFC Freedom 250.
Yeah, we don't know what time this Ultimate Fighter Episode 1 recap show will air, but we will have it for you guys. Tough Enough is back for Season 3. For those of you who remember, we introduced it with the Conor McGregor-Michael Chandler season a couple years ago. Then we did the Valentina Shevchenko-Alexa Grasso season. We took last year off due to some network structural changes, but now that Tom is back, we're able to resume it, and it's going to be Daniel Cormier versus Michael Bisping, 20 contestants at women's strawweight and men's bantamweight. It should be very exciting.
Yeah, definitely should be more exciting. And the plan is that the episode supposedly is going to drop tomorrow after the show, after Freedom 250. But given the weather situation we just talked about, we don't know when that's going to be.
Yeah, we don't know when that's going to be, but for those of you who are looking for it, you will get it. We promise. It's just a matter of logistically when it will show up on Paramount Plus.
It's a matter of when, not if.
Right.
Because, we can broadcast it after the post-fight show, but again, if the card ends at 3 or 4 in the morning, I don't think that's happening.
I don't think so either.
So, as I told you and Nick right before we came on here, our enemy tomorrow is going to be the weather. Our enemy this weekend is going to be the weather.
Oh, yeah.
It's either going to be our best friend and everything's going to go right and smooth, or it's going to be a you-know-what show.
Exactly.
So, knock on some wood that you have nearby and hope for the best.
That's exactly right.
All right, let's talk. What were we going to say?
No, I was knocking on my own wood.
All right, let's talk about the undercard for this historic event. Sean O'Malley taking on Amin Zahabi in a very crucial bantamweight matchup. This is O'Malley's O'Malley's second fight since losing the bantamweight title and losing the rematch. He rebounded with a win over Song Yadong in January. Amin Zahabi's been on a bit of a hot streak. Granted, a couple of his last wins have been controversial. The win over Jose Aldo was controversial, and that took place at featherweight. But he's coming into this fight off the win over Chito Vera. So Zahabi's won a number of fights consecutively, and now with a win over Sean O'Malley, he could put himself in position for a championship match. Sean O'Malley, Zain, here's how I feel about O'Malley. If he wins this fight, then he's got to pray that Peter Yan holds up his end of the bargain and wins what – because I think it's inevitable. It's going to be a trilogy bout between Peter Yan and Merab Dvalishvili. It's
I mean, Merab told me himself the only fight he wants is Peter Yan. So
they're going to do a trilogy bout.
Considering that I've spoken to the source himself, that's the only fight he wants.
Yeah. But if Merab Dvalishvili wins, then the situation is going to get interesting because O'Malley got dominated by Merab twice. There's no way the UFC books a trilogy bout between those two.
Are we sure about that?
Zain, I guess I can't put it past Dana White, but at the same time, if they book that fight, I would not see any other results other than Merab finishing Sean O'Malley again.
Yeah, assuming Merab is 100% healthy, right?
Unless they pull the Aljamain Sterling and force him to turn around in only a month or two. And so that way an unhealthy him takes on a healthy O'Malley for O'Malley to win it back.
Which would be so dumb.
It would be so dumb. But if Peter Yan wins, well, O'Malley's got 2 wins over Peter Yan, and Yan would have the belt. It would only make sense at that point to do a trilogy, even though O'Malley's up 2-0. Oh, I don't know. That's a 1-1.
It is, but you're kind of
O'Malley got hurt during the first fight.
Right, exactly. Yep.
When they fought a full 5-round fight, healthy both sides for the championship, O'Malley won that clearly.
Yep.
So, but you see, there's controversy in their trilogy, and it's a split versus Merab dominating O'Malley 0-2. So he's got to hope Yan wins, basically.
Mm-hmm. Because we're looking for a main event for Vegas. That sounds good.
Yes, and yes, Chrissy. That if O'Malley wins and Yan Yan versus Merab, that's a rubber match. If Yan wins and O'Malley wins Sunday, they do a rubber match.
Yep, that's exactly right. And I was going to say, if you need a Vegas main event for December, O'Malley versus Yan sounds good to me. I don't know about you.
I like it. And the other thing, Zain, is if Merab wins, who would you even give the title shot to?
If Merab wins?
Yeah. Only because Merab's fought a whole lot of these guys in the upper echelon of the rankings.
I would say you give it to Merab again. Because Merab dominated the division for a considerable amount of time.
Wait. I just said, if Merab wins, who do you give the title shot to? Merab's going to fight Merab.
No.
That would make sense. That would actually make sense. Let Merab fight Merab.
Yeah. Actually, now that I think of it, yeah, that actually probably does make sense, even though that would physically even happen.
We've cloned a sheep before. Let's clone Merab Dvalishvili.
All right, let's take a look at the rankings. Hang on.
So, hold on. I need a minute to catch my breath. He's fought a whole bunch. So Peter Yan is the champion. Merab is currently ranked number 1. They're inevitably gonna throw down again.
I would say you give it to Mario Batista or Umar. I would say.
Well, Mario Batista is ranked number 7. I think he would need another win. Is he booked for another fight right now?
I think he already is. I don't know who he's fighting, but I think he already is.
Let me double check. Mario Batista is scheduled to face Corey Sandhagen at 329. All right, there's your interesting matchup for the division.
Right, because if Sandhagen wins, you might get a rematch scenario in there, and if Batista wins, it's a fresh matchup.
Right. And Sandhagen right now is ranked number 4. He's 1 under O'Malley. So that makes perfect sense. And you actually just said the other name that's actually the most interesting. I'll let Joe Rogan pronounce the name. Umar.
Yeah.
UFC 272, a moment that lives rent free in my head.
Yeah,
Joe
it sure
Rogan.
does.
Joe Rogan. After years of doing interviews with Khabib and now doing Umar, this is where he butchers the pronunciation.
Yeah, and it's the same pronunciation every single time too, which is even
Umar,
funnier.
no, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
But yeah, Umar technically was up 2 rounds on Merab, and Merab had to pull off the comeback of all comebacks.
And he sure did.
So
That was a great fight.
That's actually not a bad idea, Dan. Is Umar booked for another fight right now?
I think so. Or he was
Yes,
rumored.
he actually is. He's the co-main event of Abu Dhabi. He's taking on David Martinez.
Yeah, that's an outstanding fight.
So the bantamweight, the fate of the bantamweight division is going to lie within the next month and a half.
Yeah, there's almost like a mini tournament going on a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It's basically like the middleweight scene was. Basically, hey, show me something in these eliminators.
Yeah. Do you think O'Malley wins? I'm taking him by decision. What do you think?
I think this is going to be one of the closer fights. You know, when I do my bets and I do most confident to least confident, this is going more towards the bottom part, just simply because of the hot streak that Ayman Zahabi has been on.
Okay.
My analysis that I wrote for MMA News, I'll quote directly from my piece. Zahabi is a guy who continues to come forward, and he will need to use counter-striking and clinch work with dirty boxing to help him out in this one. O'Malley has found success when working from distance and still being able to land well on his opponent. And a side note, of course, we've seen O'Malley, have advantages on the ground as well. O'Malley's also got a size advantage here. So does he finish Ayman Zahabi? I don't think so. But considering the size advantage, the reach advantage, and I think the better striking game and definitely the better ground game, I think O'Malley winning by decision is – I think O'Malley winning is a definite. I think he wins by decision. I don't think he finishes Zahabi.
Okay, so we both agree that O'Malley wins the decision. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool. I think Ayman Zahabi is definitely talented. He wouldn't be, he wouldn't have the winning streak that he does right now if he wasn't. But with your last wins being a retiring Jose Aldo at featherweight, not bantamweight, and
which, by the way, that's a fight that a lot of people thought that Aldo won.
Should have won, right? And then Chito Vera, which I like Chito, but he's definitely on the downslope right now.
100%. 100%. I mean, there's no question about it. Even considering his last fight, he did not look very good at all either. So, yeah, he hasn't looked good in a long time.
Actually, I should correct myself. The Sean O'Malley Peter Yan, they only fought once. O'Malley won that fight, but that was another very controversial decision. I think I had that, Zain. I think I had that fight for Yan.
Yeah, I did too, because we both ranted about it the next week.
I remember that now. Oh my god,
we were both not happy about it. By the way, that's the same night that Islam Makhachev became the UFC lightweight champion. Submitted Oliveira.
Okay, so you screwed up a little bit of that analysis, but at the same rate, we were saying the same. But it goes to the same point. Right. O'Malley's got to win this fight, and he's got to hope Yan beats Merab.
Mm-hmm.
So and now we can add in he has to hope that Umar and Sandhagen don't have stronger performances.
And also, to be fair, Tom, he kind of has to hope too that one of those two guys loses. To be fair, if he wants the dream scenario, right?
Yeah. Like the worst nightmare for him is he wins a decision here, and then Umar gets a finish and Sandhagen gets a finish.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, one of those two is probably jumping him.
Right. So O'Malley needs
and if Merab wins the belt back, one of those two is definitely jumping him.
1,000%. Yep.
So that's the situation right now at bantamweight. Unfortunately, Zain, we're going back to the heavyweight division. And we're going to talk about this fight, which wasn't part of the original card.
No,
and
this
then
was
the
a
night the
Donald.
card got announced.
This was a Donald Trump request.
Right. Well, the night this card got announced, Josh Hokett and Curtis Blades put on one of the fights of the year, just throwing down and leaving everything in the octagon, providing the most exciting fight that heavyweight has had in a long time.
Outstanding fight. It was a great fight.
And Dana wanted to reward him. Mr. President called and said, "Where's Derek Lewis?" Because a bunch of his favorites are not on this card. Colby Covington not on this card and now retired. Jorge Masvidal long since retired, although rumors are swirling about a potential comeback. So Derek Lewis is next up. Hokett needs a reward, so Dana's like, Brain Blast, late edition.
Yep.
So that's how we got this fight. Let's be real. We talked about how the first two fights, the main event and co-main event, were not lasting long. This fight cannot last long. Zain, this Hokett's character, his gimmick, if you will, his fight style, and Lewis's fight style. If this fight goes 15 minutes, it's going to be one of the worst fights in UFC history.
Yeah, I'll be shocked.
Hokett is definitely speedier. Hokett is much better with the ground. If you bring Derek Lewis to the ground, he is a truck.
Tom, I agree with you to an extent. He is speedier and stuff like that.
Oh, I didn't mean he's speedy. He's just faster than Lewis.
No. I completely understand. What I'm saying though is, when you want to talk about big fight feels and overall experience, this could be a rude awakening for Hokett. And I don't think a lot of people are really talking about it because they're so interested in the hype and the intrigue of his personality that they're forgetting that Derek Lewis has been in this position for years. He's fought in major fights before.
Absolutely.
Where his back is against the wall and he looks otherworldly. And before I even get to my prediction, I think this could be one of those fights. I really do.
Zain, when I do my predictions and my level of confidence, like the O'Malley Zahavi fight, this is going to go in the lower portion. I'm not as confident in this one as compared to my main and co-main picks.
Okay,
just simply because Lewis has the one punch knockout power.
Do you want to give you the boldest prediction that I have for this card?
You're predicting a Lewis upset, aren't you?
I think Lewis knocks him out in the first round. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I do.
I'll take it one step further. Lewis has to knock him out in the first round. If this goes to the second, Hokett's winning.
I think so too.
I think Derek Lewis is going to empty the tank in the first round.
He has to. He knows it. He has to do it.
Especially in front of Dana and especially in front of the president.
I just don't see how. I don't know about you. I just don't see how he loses in front of the president. I really don't.
I'm going to go with Hokett, though.
You are? Okay.
I think Hokett has takedown ability and wrestling ability. Lewis, the minute he goes to the ground, it's like a turtle on its back. It's going to be
just like he did against Daniel Cormier. He had no answer for anything Cormier had. So
basically, what it's going to come down to, Zain, if Hokett gets stunned first, Lewis is winning. Mm-hmm. If Hokett lands a takedown, even if it's not a punch that finishes him, if he gets stunned first, Lewis is winning. If Hokett scores a takedown first before getting stunned, Hokett's winning. That's what this fight is going to be.
Absolutely.
So,
and people can say whatever they want about the heavyweight division. I think this is a chance to be really entertaining. I really do.
Yeah, this fight. Obviously, we'll have a look at what DraftKings says, but yeah, this fight under 1.5 rounds, basically.
Tom, you don't think the UFC is going to do anything crazy and try to leapfrog Hokett or anything like that if he wins, or are they going to try to give him the Brock Lesnar treatment, or what do you?
Oh no, there's going to be a Brock Lesnar treatment. Hokett's already ranked number 5. If he finishes Lewis in the first round, he's getting. See, it's weird for me to even say that, though, Zan, because we just talked about this. What the hell's going on with Tom Aspinall?
Yeah, I don't know. But this has to be the backup.
Okay, hold on. Now I'm going to counter you.
Okay.
If Josh Hokett wins and beats Lewis in the first round, is Dana more likely to strip Tom Aspinall of the heavyweight championship?
I would, if you were to ask me what my gut tells me, I would say no, but there could become a point where that easily switches to yes, and there's no thinking about it.
Like, let's say the UFC goes the crazy route you talked about and does Josh Hokett versus let's say Alex Pereira, since we're both picking him.
Okay.
Would they have that beef, Pereira making an interim title defense like Aspinall did, or would they just outright strip Aspinall and make that for a vacant heavyweight title?
I think at that point they'd probably strip him, but I'm not sure.
Actually, or if they go the strip route, do they do what the Jones Aspinall thing and just award Pereira the heavyweight title and have him be the defending champ against the Hokett?
Oh, I could see that too.
Just to be like, okay, you know what? You were the interim champ. Technically, you already made history. Now let's just make you official to make it.
I honestly think that's what the UFC really wants to do, because the way that they've been hyping up Pereira trying to go for 3 belts, you would think that he's fighting for the real title. I mean, if you look at all this promotion, that's all they're talking about.
Well, here's what I say: if they do the stupid thing like they did with Aspinall and do it at a press conference, like when they gave it to Aspinall, I think what you do. You have it really formal. You have it as part of some already prepared press conference. You get Bruce Buffer there, you get Dana there, and you have the full introduction there with Dana putting the belt around him on the stage.
That'd be kind of interesting.
I think for a history like Alex Pereira is making, he only deserves that respect.
I think so too. Now, to be fair, I think if Pereira wins the real heavyweight championship, I'm just going to be bold here. I don't think he's given it up for a long time. No. I think he's going to be champion for a long time. At least 2 years. Because he's getting up there in age. So,
well, I'll go one bolder. And Zan, you know about how I've been feeling with this, because all the pound for pound talk, even stretching back to our last year or a couple of years ago when we were doing Outsiders, we had talked about the whole debate with Jones and Islam, and now Ilia. And I threw out there, but this was before Ilia had entered the lightweight scene. I said, what about Alex Pereira? If Pereira wins tomorrow night, I think there can be no debate. I think he jumps Ilia and Islam. He is the pound for pound great.
I think so too. I think he should be pound for pound number one if he wins. Yeah.
Because who else has won belts in 3 weight classes? Nobody
has.
You could argue maybe Ilia simply because Ilia is undefeated.
Right, yeah. That would be true. He would be 18-0 if he won. So
But when you consider that Pereira has also done champ stuff in a whole other sport, in kickboxing. Like, he's got a beefy resume compared to Ilia.
And also, who is knocking fighters out in multiple divisions the way Pereira is knocking guys out?
Right. No. We saw Ilia knock out Oliveira, but that's one fight at lightweight.
Right.
Let's see what he does tomorrow night.
Right. I'm just saying, meanwhile, coming into this fight, Pereira's done it on multiple occasions.
Mm-hmm. Well, they both have an opportunity to make a case for the pound for pound tomorrow night, one after the other.
No, for sure. And they also have a case to remain the 2 biggest stars the UFC has if they win.
Right.
So
and then your third biggest. Now you could talk about Jones and McGregor, but we're talking about active guys.
Right.
Like, and then your third biggest active guy in Islam probably is defending his belt in August.
Yeah,
you're going to have a supper of the pound for pounds.
Right, which, by the way, we never even got to this. How do we feel, Tom, that we were this close to getting Ilia versus Islam on this card, but we never got it?
It's going to happen. If Ilia wins this fight and Islam wins in August, I've got a feeling they're going to try again.
You think so?
I think so.
You think it's going
to because then you know what Ilia's going to do? Well, Pereira just won 3 and I'm undefeated. I'm going to go for 3. Because then at that point, if that happened, then Topuria's got a case again.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, do you think in the dream scenario, the first UFC numbered event of 2027 is that very super fight between Makhachev and Topuria?
There's a good chance. I should say good chance, but there is a chance.
And I think that's what Dana wants, because someone asked him, I think it was TMZ the other day, they're like, hey, is Ilia Islam still in play? And he's like, oh yeah, anything's possible. So I think the UFC really wants it.
I love this jersey, but since you mentioned it, in the words of the great Kevin Garnett, anything is possible.
That's true. I mean, Tom, do you think they would risk making both of those guys quickly turn around to try to do the fight in December, or do you think they would build it up over the course of 7 or 8 months?
I think they give that fight a little bit of build.
Could you imagine if they did it International Fight Week 2027?
I don't know if they go that far, but Volkanovski versus Islam got decent build. I think it's probably the same level as that.
Okay, so you think it'll be
that was 1 versus 2,
right? You think it'll be January or February then? Because that's when that fight was. That was Super Bowl weekend 2023. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
All right.
And I think like I said, I think at that point, Islam has done a 1 versus 2 before. I think this would be a little more highly hyped than the fight with Volk, but still.
Now, wait, where would that possible fight rank, meaning Ilia Islam in UFC history? Because I've seen some people say it's the biggest fight the UFC's ever done. What do you think?
I don't know about biggest fight ever done in terms of drawing power and viewership and money, but in terms of fight quality, it's probably up there.
Do you think it's the biggest welterweight title fight since GSP BJ Penn?
Yes.
I would say so too.
All right. Quickly, we have a few more fights to go through before we do our best bets. Mauricio Rufy taking on Michael Chandler. I guess this is Chandler's alternate prize.
An alternate prize, yeah.
Instead of getting McGregor. Yeah. If Chandler loses this fight, I can't see anything but retirement for Chandler.
I don't think so too. What, Tommy hasn't won a fight since 2022 , right?
Yeah.
2022.
Zain, he's 2-5 in the UFC since coming over.
Yep.
The fact that he did not get the finish against Charles Oliveira completely altered the direction of his UFC career.
Yeah, I would agree.
If he had a few more seconds in that first round against Oliveira and he managed to get the finish and he was the lightweight champion, I think maybe not an extreme difference, but I think he's obviously a champion. I think he defends the title at least once, and we're talking a much different conversation about him.
Yeah, because if you look at the lightweight landscape at that time, I think he does defend it once. You want to know what? He probably ends up in this alternate timeline. He probably fights Poirier for his title.
Yeah.
Probably is what ends up happening.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get McGregor Chandler 3 years earlier than when you were supposed to get it.
Yeah. And the other thing to that is, you look at the 2 wins that he has in the UFC. It's Dan Hooker, which isn't too bad. But then it's also Tony Ferguson when Ferguson was on his losing streak.
Yep. Before people really knew how bad his losing streak actually was going to get.
Yeah, but still, it was very clear he was on the downward trend at that time.
No, right. That was the pinnacle of the downward trend. That was my point.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, you've got Rufy, Chandler's got the All-American wrestling background, obviously. And, again, we talk about it with Gaethje. You would think Chandler would use that more, but Chandler's been, trying to be Mr. Entertainer in the UFC. See you at the top and trying to put on a show for the fans.
Yep, and I think that's still the same vibe this week.
And guess what? Against Rufy, that's a mistake.
It is. Absolutely.
He has to use his wrestling to win this fight.
I think if Chandler survives the first round, the fight's interesting. If he can, he's going to get viciously knocked out.
Oh, my obviously we'll talk about our bets in a little bit, but my play for this fight involves an under 1.5 rounds. I don't think this fight's lasting long. I think Roofy's knocking him out.
Speaking of bets, I have a request. When we do our bets, can we do a Fight IQ joint parlay, like our ideal parlay that we would put together collectively?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. All right, but what's your take? Are you agreeing with me? Roofy's knocking him out.
Yeah. Let me see what I had. I had Roofy by knockout in round 2. I don't think it's going to be in the first round, but I still think he knocks him out. Yep.
I guess this is going to be a spoiler for one of the bets later. I have Roofy to win, and I have a same game parlay for this one. Roofy to win and under 1.5 rounds.
Okay.
That's my play with this. Here's another fight that, I'm kind of in the lower portion of confidence. This case, both prediction-wise and bet-wise. Bo Nickal versus Kyle Daukaus. Bo Nickal's here because, of course, he is, because the UFC is trying to strap the rocket to him even after the loss to Rennie or DeRitter.
Which I was there, and people were laughing their asses off in Iowa City or in Des Moines, Iowa, that Bo Nickal was knocked out. That's a night that I'll never forget. And some guy next to me sitting over there, he goes, RDR fraud checked him. Bo Nickal sucks. This guy was loving it. It was.
Well, actually, but Zain, you did just mention you were in Iowa for that fight. I think Iowa people are not fans of Penn State people. Now, are they?
No, that's true. That's very true.
Bo Nickal was playing villain there.
No, absolutely.
But yeah, obviously Bo Nickal is continuing to get pushed by the UFC. Now, the thing that's really interesting, which actually goes back to the last fight that Bo Nickal had against Rodolfo Vieira, and we saw it in an earlier fight too. He's developing his hands.
We saw it at UFC 300 also. UFC 300.
That was the one. He's developing his punching.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some power to him. But of course, his bread and butter is going to be his wrestling.
See, I think Bo Nickal submits Kyle Daukaus. That's what I think.
I think Kyle Daukaus is a dog, no pun intended. He's definitely looked great in his 2 fights that he's had since returning to the UFC. I think Nickal's wrestling is going to be a little too much for him. My prediction is going to be Bo Nickal, but I don't know if this is going to go the full distance. I'm not confident if this is going to go the distance or not. Let me put it that way. But even then, the way Kyle Daukaus has been fighting, getting those sub-minute finishes in his first 2 fights back, you never know.
No, you don't.
So that's going to join O'Malley, Zahabi, and Hokett Lewis in the lower portion of the confident.
Hey, if Daukaus keeps it on the feet, though, this fight could be a slugfest. This might be a really good fight.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a good fight with this one.
2 East Coast guys too. You gotta love it. So,
absolutely, East Coast represent. And then opening the card, this should be a fun one. It's Diego Lopez, the People's Champion over at featherweight, taking on Steve Garcia.
I'm excited for this. Diego Lopez always seems to be in big fights for the UFC, keeps getting rewarded, but who can really blame him? He's never been in a boring fight. Steve Garcia, the same thing. I'm going to say, Tom, if Garcia looks the way he did against David Onama, this fight's going to be fantastic.
Well, obviously, there is the asterisk to that whole card, basically, in general, after everything we went through with Harry Mack.
I do remember that. Yep.
But like you said, that shouldn't take away from what Steve Garcia is doing, because he's chained together a nice win streak for himself. And then for Diego Lopez, Zain, only 2 people in the UFC have beaten Diego Lopez. Movsar Ivlev, which Lopez took that fight on short notice. It was Lopez's UFC debut, and that was a controversial decision.
Which some people thought Lopez won. I was one of them.
And then the only other person to do that, to beat Lopez, is Alexander Volkanovski. who last I checked is one of the GOATs at featherweight and is the current featherweight champion.
It is probably, to me, I don't know about you, I know this is a segue. I can say with validity that I believe that Volk is the GOAT at 145. I think he is.
Yeah, I have too much of a max bias to be a fully undisputed with that.
even though Volk by definition beat him 3 times, even though even though technically it should have been twice, because I agree he did lose the second.
He lost the second fight. Holloway won the second fight in my opinion.
For sure, absolutely. I like Lopez here in a war by decision. I think it's a great fight.
So again. This will be another fight that I'll read from my prediction column. Garcia needs to continue to use the striking and overwhelming pressure that has led him to the quick finishes in his current streak. But Lopez is a dynamic fighter and a highlight finisher. That said, what Garcia I think needs to do is push his cardio. If Lopez can beat Garcia to the punch in a literal and figurative sense, Garcia might be the one who gets finished. So if Garcia gets this fight to the ground, I think he has an advantage there as well. This is going to be a back and forth fight. I'm going to predict Lopez. I think the only play I made when we do the bets is about Lopez himself. I don't think I went with either a decision or a finish because it's just split to me. I'll go Lopez by decision, I guess. I think it's going to be a fun fight that goes the distance.
Okay.
What was your prediction?
I'm taking Lopez by decision.
Okay, so we're on the same page there.
Yeah, the only fight we disagree on this whole card is Hogan versus Lewis. That's the only fight.
Okay, that works for me. Now, before we get to the best bets plays, there is another story to talk about that actually broke not long before we came here on the air. So Diego Lopez has done something I have never seen a UFC fighter do, or I can't recall a UFC fighter doing. Weighing in twice for 2 different weight classes. He weighed in successfully at 146 pounds for his fight with Garcia. An hour or 2 later, he then weighs in at lightweight, makes it at 154 pounds. Which is a very quick rehydration period in my mind. But the reason for that is that Diego Lopez is now going to serve as an alternate. So if something in the next 24 to 30 hours happens to either Ilia or Justin, Diego Lopez will be moved off of the Steve Garcia matchup and inserted into the main event lightweight title fight.
So, Tom, in this scenario, would there only be 6 fights?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, remember, the plan for this card originally was 6 fights. The 7th came because of what Hoka did against Blades.
Well, right. And there was technically supposed to be an 8th if you want to be really technical.
Oh, yeah, the Whaley-Dern fight.
Mackenzie Dern and Whaley Zhang, yeah.
We're getting that fight in September or October.
You think so?
Yeah, we're going to get that fight in the fall.
I think so. Oh, too. So you think Julian Robertson will have to wait a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think after Whaley lost the way she did to Valentina and she made the decision to go back to strawweight, Dana's going to give her the opportunity to get her belt back.
Oh yeah, that's one of Dana's.
Plus Dern versus Whaley sounds like an awesome fight.
Right, and that's one of Dana's favorite fighters anyway. So of course he would.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But yeah, weighing in 2 different weight classes on the same night is hella insane.
Yeah, but Tom, if we're being really honest, does Lopez deserve yet another title shot?
No. Okay, let's get to that part. Part of this is because the original intended challenger, backup challenger, was Arman Tsarukyan. However, for various reasons, Arman Tsarukyan is not here. Number 1, he's competing on the RAF card tonight against, oh my God, who's he fighting? I just had his name before.
Oh no, he's Colby Covington in July.
No, he's wrestling tonight too.
Oh, he is. Oh,
he's wrestling Tony Ferguson tonight.
Oh, geez.
And He's wrestling on the RAF Georgia card that's going to take place 1 week before he wrestles Colby.
No way. Something tells me that Milwaukee event that I'm going to is going to get totally reshuffled, I bet.
Something is telling me, Zain, that I think compared to what I said on Monday night, Arman Tsarukyan might be a little focused on RAF right now to the point he doesn't care about UFC.
And kick streaming, too.
Yeah. So that and of course Arman Tsarukyan's been in the doghouse with the UFC for the last year and a half.
For sure. Something tells me, Tom, if this were to occur, I think Topuria and or Gaethje beats Lopez.
Yeah, Lopez. Wouldn't this be Lopez's first fight at 155?
Yeah, I think so. Because because what was the Dan Ige fight at? Was that 140? Was that a catch weight at 140?
Oh, the short notice Ige fights. Let me check. That was actually, Zain. That was catch weight, but it wasn't featherweight. It wasn't lightweight. It was 160 pounds.
Yeah, I do remember that.
You know why? Because Ige took that fight on hour's notice.
That's right. That's right.
That was less than a day's notice. So they just had to wait. Lopez was already hydrating at that point.
Yep. And Ige was already training, and he was in Vegas, so it made it easy.
Yeah, so they just went with 160 or 165, whatever it was.
Yep. And it ended up being a phenomenal fight. A great fight.
This is why Lopez is one of the best, though. It's crazy.
I think that's partially why he's on this card, because of the amount of times he's given the UFC what they've asked for.
Mm-hmm. That's what you notice, by the way, every UFC card he's not competing in, he's in the crowd.
Yeah, he's always there.
He's always there for the fight night.
Oh,
He's becoming an ambassador for the UFC, basically.
I think so. He might even become a content creator when his career is over. If I were to guess,
I could totally see him sitting beside Jens Pulver for all the UFC streams.
Oh yeah, and before we get to bets, I can attest. I was at UFC. No. I was thinking of a different fighter. I was just saying, whenever I've seen Lopez in person at UFCs, he always gets the loudest applause. Every single time.
That's why I said he's basically, we talk about those guys who are people's champions like Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier. Diego Lopez is in that same category.
Brandon Moreno too. When I was at UFC 264, they did a Q&A with Moreno. Tom, freaking madness! Everybody loves him.
There are just some people who are dogs, and those four guys all are dogs. And Diego Lopez. If something happens within the next 24 hours and Lopez steps up to take this lightweight fight, whether it's against Ilia or Justin, that is dog level territory.
And imagine if Lopez has a legendary performance and wins the UFC lightweight championship.
Put him in the Hall of Fame already at that point.
Hall of Fame. Saves the entire White House card, wins the light heavyweight champ or lightweight champion.
If that happens, put a mural of Diego Lopez in the White House.
Seriously.
Give him a statue outside the White House.
Absolutely. Put it in the spot where he wins too after they rip up all the infrastructure. That's where you
right on the south lawn.
That's where you put it.
Oh my God. All right. We've had our fun here. Now it's time to do the actual Fight IQ Puncher's Chance portion of this show.
Absolutely.
The show that normally would air here if it wasn't for this special attraction.
Yeah, so in the final couple minutes, let's do our best bets. Let's do a group. Let's do a collective parlay. Do you want to create a collective parlay on DraftKings?
Let's quickly, hold on. Let me quickly get the DraftKings tab up here, and sometimes my StreamYard likes to act out when I share my screen with DraftKings. So you'll need to give me a minute to readjust here. Uh-oh. Why does this not work? Oh, hold on, because I still had the intro in the foreground. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's quickly go through fight by fight. So, Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje. Let me see. Let me actually, while I have my MMA news article up, let me check what the best bet I had for this fight. Oh, so for this one, here's what I did. I went to. It was not fight props. Was it fight parlay or round props? No. Wait, why is it not giving? Hold on a minute here. UFC Freedom 250. Oh, let me go. Let me go into the specific fight. I thought I already was. All right, UFC Freedom 250. Round props. Okay, what I'm looking for is something called round group betting. Okay, here it is. Winner and group of rounds.
Okay.
And I have Ilia Topuria to win in rounds 1 or 2. So on Wednesday, when I published this piece, it was at minus 145. Right now, it's minus 160. I don't think that's too terrible. I hate that it went up a little bit, but the time that I made the play was 145, and I said that's actually not bad.
Okay.
So that's my play.
Okay, I like him to win in rounds 1 or 2. So let's start with that on the first leg if we can.
Sure. I'll click each time that we agree on something. All right, co-main event. Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane. My prediction. See, even still, minus 108 versus minus 112. I don't know about you feel, Zain. I feel that's really disrespectful to Pereira.
It is. I think he should be a bigger favorite for sure.
So, but on that note, Pereira by knockout is plus 150. I said that's free money.
Yeah, I'd say that's the next leg of our parlay. By the way, if you feel like it, we should actually bet this and see if it cashes at the end of the night. If you want to, that'd be kind of fun.
Well, we'll see. I still have to put the best bets piece together for Deadspin. Yes, because the card is on Sunday, ETB is actually getting my picks earliest.
That's pretty cool.
Sean O'Malley versus Zain Zahabi.
I like an O'Malley money line. That's what I would do.
The minus 440 though. All right, here's what I'm going to do. If you want what my personal best bet is for this fight, O'Malley by decision. Okay, the line actually jumped since Wednesday. O'Malley to win by decision on Wednesday was plus 100. It's now minus 105. For the sake of our parlay, though, I will agree with you with O'Malley money line. Hokit versus Lewis. My best bet was
this fight not to go the distance. That's what I would do.
All right, hold on. So my best bet was on Hokit to win via KO, TKO, DQ, which is only minus 135. That's not bad. And yours of Lewis winning by that's plus 425. Now, I want to see something here because sometimes it's weird. It's like fight goes the distance and then exact method of victory sometimes are both there for some reason. Fight to not go the distance is minus 900. I want to see if they have something by what do they call it? Winning method of victory, exact method of victory, KO, TKO, DQ. That's only minus 300. That's weird. What fight goes the distance and KO, TKO, DQ are two completely different odds.
Interesting. Okay. What do you
think? I think for value's sake, we do this.
Okay.
Because minus 300. Well, let me go back to the fight goes the distance play. Let me go to the popular. Fight was minus 900. So it's like you can do the same play, but for 600 points less.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's weird.
It is.
I think for our sake of parlay, though, and just for value's sake in general, I think having Hokett versus Lewis, exact method of victory being KO, TKO, DQ in either direction at only minus 300 compared to not go the distance at minus 900 is it's obvious smart thinking is what it is.
I think so too.
Let's see what else. We've got Rufy versus Chandler.
This fight not to go the distance would be my parlay.
So I actually have a same game parlay for this one specific fight. So my same game parlay for this fight is an under minus one. Oh, actually, hold on. There was a specific fight. No, winning method. No. I could have sworn there was. Okay, here it was. Yeah, here. Mauricio Rufy to win in under 1.5 rounds is minus 125 is my best bet for this fight.
Okay, interesting.
Let me see what your does not go the distance prop is, and I accidentally clicked out of the fight.
It's okay, it happens.
Fight goes the distance. No is minus 500.
Okay.
All right, we'll do that. Only because our last play we went with what I was going with, so I'll go with this one. But that does not go distance. Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dawkins. I had Nickel via decision plus 225. Let me see what the odds are as of today. Actually went up a little bit, plus 240.
Okay.
What's your best bet for this fight?
For the Kyle Dawkins Bo Nickel fight?
Yeah.
For this fight, not to go the distance also.
Who did you predict for this fight?
Oh, Bo Nickel.
All right. So since we agree with Nickel but disagree on the method of victory, I think we got to go with the money line play for our parlay.
Fair. That's fair.
Even though the value is not great, for the sake of us having an undisputed best bet.
And for the last fight, I would say Lopez money line would be my last.
And that was my best bet in the MMA news article was Lopez money line. It actually went down from minus 155 to minus 148.
Interesting.
So Zain, our 7-pick parlay is plus 1,667.
Wow.
A $10 bet would pay out $176.79.
That's not bad.
No, that's not bad at all. A $20 play, the payout is $353.
That's pretty good.
Really good. All right. Those are our best those are our best bets for tomorrow night's card. All right, Zain, thank you so much. This 2 hours were fun. I got to quickly get out of here because the MVP card is starting in about 40 minutes. But I want to thank you for joining me for the UFC Freedom 250 pre-show. You will be with me, knock on wood, for a post-show if it starts on time tomorrow and we're not held up by weather or anything. And good luck to you tomorrow with Zain Zinger Part 2 with your own little pre-show.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. It won't be as long as this, but it'll be about an hour, so it should be fun. So
absolutely. I will try to tune in. And thank you all for tuning into this show. Fight IQ will be back on Monday night with its normal 7 p.m. Eastern time slot, where we will
assuming, of course, that the card doesn't get moved to Monday night.
Yeah, we will need and then I have an event on Tuesday night, so I can't do it on Tuesday night. We will have to discuss a contingency plan if that happens.
I guess so.
But other than that, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Ring the bell, I should say. so you get notified of everything here at the ETB Network. If you're watching on X, like, repost, quote post, and then come to YouTube to help us grow our platform there. Make sure to follow us across social media at FightIQ ETB. Make sure to follow the network at ETB Network. And then you can follow me at Thomas J. Albano, and you can follow Zain at ZanBando99. That's going to do it for this edition of the special UFC Freedom 250 pre-show. Enjoy the fights tonight. Enjoy the fights, especially tomorrow night. Enjoy this sports weekend. And the only thing I can say to end things off, go New York, go New York, go.
It's a perfect way to end it. Thanks again for tuning in. Enjoy MVP tonight if you guys are watching it and or the NBA Finals. And stick with me tomorrow morning. We'll go over more UFC Freedom 250 stuff. Maybe I'll get you some breaking news, and maybe there's going to be more goodies to come. But until then, I'll catch you guys soon, and stay tuned. There's more ETV programming tonight elsewhere, so keep it locked on the YouTube channel if you guys want to stick around for a little bit longer as Between the Ropes is going to get underway here in just under an hour. So,
no, it's later tonight.
Oh, what time? What time is it tonight?
7:00 Eastern.
Okay.
So you got Between the Ropes at 7:00 Eastern, and then Nick and John. I know Nick, maybe not Johnny. I know Nick at least will be live for post game coverage for the Knicks Spurs game, regardless if the Spurs win or the Knicks wrap things up.
Yeah. So my point overall is stick around. There's plenty more ETB programming to come, and thanks again for tuning in. Shout out to all 228 of you. You guys are awesome.
Oh, Johnny will be there. Nick just confirmed with Johnny will be there tonight.
Okay.
So you'll have Nick and Johnny for the post-game show tonight. All right. I'm Tom. That's Zain. Thank you for tuning in, and enjoy the fights tomorrow as we celebrate America and we celebrate the UFC.
And we celebrate Trump's 80th birthday, if anybody cares about that. So.
Take care, everyone.
Take care. Cheers, everyone.